Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a hard question. Why haven't you grown yet? Why do months go by, even years, and you're still stuck in the same cycle, same frustration, same mistakes, same results? It's not because you're not smart. It's not because you're not capable. And it's definitely not because life is unfair. It's because you're still carrying toxic habits that are quietly killing your progress. The kind of habits that don't scream out loud, but steal your potential in silence. And until you quit these 4 toxic behaviors, no course, no mentor, no goal-setting session will help you. You will keep hitting the same wall. If you're serious about change, if you're tired of starting over, if you want real self-growth, you need to know what these 4 habits are and how to kill them before they kill your dreams. So stay until the end. Because the last habit, that one alone could be the reason you've never reached your next level. We all want growth, we want success, we want to become the best version of ourselves. But very few people talk about the cost. Growth doesn't come free. It doesn't show up because you wished for it, prayed for it, or wrote it on a vision board. Growth requires payment. And that payment often comes in the form of letting go. Letting go of comfort. Letting go of ego. Letting go of the toxic habits you've been defending and repeating for years. You can't step into the future if you're still dragging the weight of the past. And it's not always big dramatic events that are holding you back. Sometimes it's the subtle, familiar habits that quietly eat away at your potential, day after day, year after year. The ones you excuse, justify, and normalize until they become part of your identity. That's the deception. These toxic habits don't always look evil. Sometimes they look like self-care. Sometimes they look like protection. Sometimes they look like survival. But in reality, they're chains. And the scariest part is you get used to the weight. You get comfortable with the drag. Growth asks you to let go, not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. There is no elevation without elimination. Just like a tree has to shed dead branches to grow taller, you must drop what no longer serves you. That includes patterns, behaviors, excuses, and even people. The process is uncomfortable. It feels like loss. It feels like you're giving up a part of yourself. And in many ways you are. You're giving up the version of yourself that was built for survival so you can become the version that's ready to thrive. That's what growth really is. Not adding more, but subtracting what's holding you back. Sometimes people say, I feel stuck. But most people aren't stuck. They're just unwilling to let go. They are holding on to toxic habits because those habits give them a sense of control or comfort, even if that comfort is slowly killing their progress. Here's the truth. Self-growth is not always about doing more. It's about stopping what's no longer working. You don't have to burn out trying to improve yourself if you first eliminate the things actively working against you. Let's put it plainly. You cannot grow if you're addicted to distractions. You cannot grow if you're constantly complaining and blaming. You cannot grow if your identity is tied to other people's approval. You cannot grow if you spend your energy maintaining a version of yourself that no longer fits your future. But the reason many people stay stuck is because letting go feels like failure. If I let go of this friendship, I'll be alone. If I stop seeking validation, who will affirm me? If I stop procrastinating and actually try, what if I fail? This fear keeps people locked into cycles that sabotage them. Because growth demands faith. It demands trust. It demands that you believe in what you can't yet see. Letting go is not a guarantee that everything will be easy, but holding on is a guarantee that nothing will change. Think about your phone or computer. When your storage is full, you can't download anything new. It doesn't matter how strong your Wi-Fi connection is or how badly you want that new app. You have to make space first. The same is true in life. You can't download new blessings, new opportunities, or a new mindset if your system is full of toxic, outdated habits. Letting go isn't just necessary, it's sacred. It's the moment you finally stop betraying your own potential. It's the moment you decide that your growth matters more than your comfort. It's the moment you stop making excuses and start making space. Don't underestimate how powerful that shift is. The second you release what's been holding you back, momentum begins. Suddenly your mind is clearer, your decisions are sharper, your confidence rises. Not because you've added something new, but because you've removed what was weakening you all along. You don't need a miracle to change your life. You just need the courage to let go. Let go of needing to be perfect. Let go of thinking you need permission. Let go of pretending you don't care. Let go of the lie that you have more time, because growth will cost you your old life. But what you get in return is your true self. That version of you, the focused one, the disciplined one, the healed one, is already inside. It's just been buried under layers of distraction, fear, and toxic habits. So the question is not, can I grow? The real question is, what am I still holding onto that's making me shrink? Until you're willing to release it, you'll stay exactly where you are, full of potential, but stuck in patterns. But the moment you choose growth over comfort, the moment you choose release over resistance, that's when your transformation truly begins. Your habits are not just routines. They are the quiet architects of your reality. Every decision you make, every action you repeat without thinking, is casting a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. And whether you realize it or not, your habits are either building your future or slowly tearing it down. They're not neutral. They're not harmless. They are either pushing you forward or pulling you backward. There is no middle ground. What you do daily is more powerful than what you do occasionally. People love to talk about their goals, their dreams, and their vision boards. But a goal without the right habits is just a wish. A dream without disciplined behavior is just fantasy. And a vision without action is a lie you tell yourself to feel good. Growth doesn't respond to intention. It responds to consistency. And your consistency is shaped by your habits, good or bad. Many people don't realize they're being sabotaged from the inside out. They think it's bad luck. They think life is unfair. But what they're experiencing is the natural outcome of patterns they've been repeating for years. Procrastination, negative self-talk, comparing themselves to others, making excuses, waiting for the right time. These habits don't feel dangerous because they're small. They happen quietly, in the background, unnoticed. But over time, they become walls that block your growth. It's not always the big dramatic choices that define you. It's the small invisible ones. Hitting snooze instead of rising early. Scrolling your phone instead of reading a book. Talking about people instead of building yourself. Reacting emotionally instead of responding with intention. These little things, they add up. They build a life or they build regret. The most dangerous habits are the ones you defend. The ones you tell yourself are just who I am. When you make your bad habits part of your identity, you lock yourself out of growth. You say things like, I'm just not a morning person. I work better under pressure, or I need stress to function. No, you don't. You've just trained yourself to survive in dysfunction. And now that it's time to grow, that dysfunction feels familiar. But comfort isn't always good for you. In fact, it's often the enemy of change. If you want to grow, you have to become more loyal to your future than your past. You have to stop romanticizing your bad habits and start calling them out for what they are: destructive patterns that have overstayed their welcome. Habits that keep you tired, distracted, unfocused, and emotionally unstable are not part of your personality. They are chains disguised as character. And the moment you stop defending them is the moment you start breaking free. The truth is, growth is not about doing more, it's about doing better. Better thinking, better discipline, better priorities. And that begins by looking in the mirror and asking the hard questions. What am I doing every day that's keeping me average? What small choices have I normalized that are blocking my breakthrough? And most importantly, am I willing to be uncomfortable long enough to become unstoppable? Because make no mistake, changing your habits will be uncomfortable. Growth will always require you to choose long-term strength over short-term ease. It's easier to binge watch than it is to plan your week. It's easier to scroll than to reflect. It's easier to complain than to improve. But easy doesn't make you powerful. Easy makes you stuck, and stuck is not your destiny. There's no shortcut around this. If you want to change your life, you must change your habits. You must choose habits that match the future you say you want, because your habits are voting for the life you're going to live tomorrow. Every day, your actions are casting ballots, and the results are being counted, not by the world, not by your friends, but by your reality. Your future isn't waiting on your intention. It's waiting on your habits to catch up with your vision. So if you're tired of being frustrated, tired of circling the same mountain, tired of watching others grow while you stay stuck, look at your habits. What are you repeating that keeps you small? What are you allowing that keeps you average? The hard truth is this: you are not a victim of your life. You are a result of your habits. And the moment you start owning that, everything can change. The key to self-growth is not in some secret formula. It's in the boring, often invisible decisions you make every day. And the good news is this: change doesn't require perfection. It only requires commitment. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight, but you do have to decide that from this moment on, you will no longer tolerate the habits that are keeping you from your full potential. So today, make a choice. Not a loud one, not a dramatic one, but a clear one. Choose to build your life on habits that strengthen you. Choose to stop investing in the patterns that drain you. Choose to take one step toward becoming the person your future needs you to be, because your habits matter. And the life you want is waiting for you. On the other side of the ones you're finally ready to let go, one of the most dangerous illusions people live with is the belief that they can grow while staying in the same mental, emotional, and physical environments that created their stagnation. But growth is not passive. It demands separation. You cannot rise if you keep dragging along the same excuses, the same people, and the same toxic atmospheres that fed your limitations. If you truly want transformation, you must be willing to let go. Let go of what you've normalized. Let go of what you've tolerated. Let go of what you've outgrown. The truth is, some environments are poisonous to your purpose, and the longer you stay in them, the more they convince you that progress is impossible. Have you ever wondered why your motivation dies so quickly after you get inspired? Why your clarity fades the moment you return to your normal? It's not because the dream wasn't real. It's because you return to the same atmosphere that suffocates your ambition. You can't expect elevation while surrounding yourself with what anchors you. People don't realize how much influence their surroundings hold. The conversations you hear every day become the limits of your thinking. The energy you absorb becomes the fuel or the fog of your journey. If you are surrounded by people who complain, blame, mock ambition, or resist growth, it will infect you. Even if you're determined, even if you're focused, because over time, your environment shapes your belief system, and belief is the gatekeeper of behavior. You can't develop a growth mindset in a circle that fears change. You can't build self-discipline in a space where distractions are rewarded. And you absolutely cannot find peace in an environment addicted to chaos. Growth requires courage, not just the courage to dream big, but the courage to walk away, to separate, to say this space is no longer serving who I'm becoming. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. Some of the things holding you back aren't even external. They are internal environments, thought patterns, and emotional defaults that are so familiar, you've mistaken them for truth. Maybe you've gotten used to expecting failure. Maybe you've learned to speak to yourself with self-doubt, to anticipate rejection before it even comes, to tone yourself down so you won't be judged. These internal habits are just as toxic as any negative friend or draining workplace. And here's the hardest part. It's easier to change your surroundings than it is to change the way you think inside of them. But both must happen. If you escape a toxic space, but bring the toxic pattern with you, you'll recreate the same struggle in a new setting. So what's the solution? Awareness, honesty, and action. You must become brutally honest about what is no longer working. Is your routine feeding your purpose or feeding your comfort? Are your friends encouraging your growth or enabling your excuses? Is your space a room, a workplace, a relationship, a place of peace, or a source of stress? And perhaps the hardest question of all, are you willing to let go of what feels familiar in order to make room for what's truly fruitful? The most painful part of growth is not the discipline, it's the distance. The distance you must create from what no longer aligns with your vision. Sometimes that means creating space from old friends who still think small. Sometimes it means unplugging from constant noise so you can hear your own voice again. And sometimes it means confronting your own patterns, your own fear of outgrowing people who stayed the same. It's not personal. It's necessary. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can respect your past and still walk away from it. But what you cannot do is pretend you can evolve without letting anything go. Real growth is sacrificial. You must give up something, comfort, approval, old narratives, to gain something greater, clarity, strength, alignment. The world will not pause to give you the perfect environment. It's up to you to create it. Protect your peace, curate your circle, build your inner atmosphere until your thoughts are rooted in truth, not fear. And remember, elevation feels lonely at first because very few are willing to let go of what weighs them down. But those who do, they rise. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. So if you feel like you've been stuck, if your growth feels like it's on pause, don't just look at your goals. Look at your environment, your mental space, your emotional hygiene, your daily surroundings. What you allow around you is what you eventually become. You will never walk into your highest self while staying loyal to what's been draining your spirit. You have a choice. You always have. You can either keep adjusting yourself to fit into places that no longer deserve your presence, or you can rise cleanly, boldly, and unapologetically. Because self-growth doesn't begin with adding more. It begins with subtracting what no longer belongs. And when you do that, the version of you you've been waiting for finally has room to emerge. One of the most self-sabotaging habits you can carry is the addiction to comparison. In a world where you can see everyone's life, highlight reel, and success in the palm of your hand, it's easy to lose sight of your own progress. You look at someone else's journey, their wins, their looks, their lifestyle, and you begin to feel like you're behind. You begin to feel like you're not enough. But the danger here is not just emotional, it's directional. Comparison doesn't just affect how you feel, it alters your focus, redirects your energy, and shifts your purpose away from authenticity and into performance. When you live in comparison, your growth becomes performative. You start doing things not because they're right for you, but because you think they'll make you look successful in the eyes of others. You chase the image instead of the substance. You pursue validation instead of vision. And soon your goals aren't even yours anymore. They're just reflections of someone else's life you thought you should be living. That is a quiet, slow death of purpose. Because the more you compare, the more disconnected you become from who you truly are and what you're really here to do. Comparison also breeds resentment. You start to resent people who have what you want. You begin to question why life seems to favor them and forget you. You feel like effort doesn't matter because your progress looks microscopic compared to theirs. And then bitterness grows. Not because they did anything wrong, but because you're viewing their path from a lens of lack rather than inspiration. But here's the reality. You don't know what they had to go through to get there. You don't know their private battles, their sacrifices, or the time it took to build what you're seeing. You're comparing your process to their outcome, your raw footage to their edited scene. And that's never a fair fight. The moment you begin comparing, you step out of alignment. You become blind to your uniqueness. You forget that your timing is not theirs. You forget that your purpose isn't supposed to look like anyone else's. And you forget that what you're building may take longer because it's rooted deeper. That kind of foundation doesn't go viral, but it does last. And deep down, you don't just want applause, you want peace. You don't just want attention, you want fulfillment. That only comes when you build in alignment with your truth, not someone else's timeline. There's another trap in comparison that often goes unnoticed. It kills gratitude. You could be living in the answer to a prayer you once cried out for, but because you're looking at someone else's better, you now see your blessing as not enough. You overlook how far you've come. You minimize your own breakthroughs. You discount your resilience, your growth, your quiet victories, all because it doesn't look as glamorous as what you see online. But fulfillment isn't found in what others think of your life. It's found in how deeply you honor your own path. You have to protect your focus. You have to remind yourself that someone else's success is not your failure. Their blessing is not your blockage. Their timing is not your deadline. If you stay faithful to your process, your daily habits, your growth, your discipline, your time will come. It might not come as loud or as flashy, but it will be real. And real success, the kind built from integrity, alignment, and vision, is never rushed. It is crafted. The antidote to comparison is not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the choice to say, I'm running my race, in my lane, at my pace. It's the maturity to admire someone else's journey without losing sight of your own. It's the strength to be patient when it feels like everyone else is sprinting past you. Because if you rush just to keep up, you may reach a destination that was never meant for you. And nothing is more exhausting than living a life that looks good on the outside but feels empty inside. The people you admire, those you're tempted to compare yourself to, they're not your competition. They're just mirrors, showing what's possible if you stay the course. Let their light inspire you, not intimidate you. Let their progress remind you that growth is available. But never let it cause you to shrink, to question your worth, or to abandon your values for temporary approval. Your story is not late. Your process is not broken. You are not behind. You're just on a different assignment with a different route and a different pace. And that's not a disadvantage, that's your edge. Because when you stay focused on your own growth, without the noise of comparison, you build something solid, something meaningful, something that no one else can copy. Because it was never meant to be replicated. Comparison may be common, but it's not harmless. It steals your joy, it clouds your vision, and it will keep you stuck, chasing shadows instead of building substance. Let it go. Honor your season. Embrace your journey. And remember, The goal is not to be better than anyone else, it's to be better than who you were yesterday. That's the only race that matters, and that's the only finish line that will ever fulfill you. You can read every book, watch every video, and attend every seminar, but nothing will change until you quit the behaviors that are silently destroying you. So ask yourself, which one of these 4 habits is holding you back the most? And more importantly, are you finally ready to let it go? Because your next level isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to get honest.